but I never know until people say it isn't. So
Let's hope.
yeah. All right. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 545. The tragedy of droids in Star Wars. Alas, artificial intelligence in a space opera where it's never really brought up except in one film. And if in case you haven't noticed, this is from the Pop Culture Detective. You don't know who that is. That's Jonathan Mcintosh from, well, he's pretty infamous nowadays. Don't know what he's up to, but used to be working for Anita Sarkeesian's Tropes versus Women in Video Games. And then he got kicked off that project, or the project was done, or just shuttled away. And now he's doing his own thing on YouTube, and he's got over 1 million subs, I believe. So, no, he only has 900,000, pretty close. So, but yeah, it's the famous Jonathan Mcintosh. You can't go wrong with anything this guy says as not being crazy. It's amazing. It's going to be just half an hour of nuts, crazy stuff. Oh, 36 minutes. Sorry, 36 minutes of crazy. I don't think we're going to get that far. We're going to have a conniption. We're going to get bored. He's going to say something wild. And who the hell knows what. I bet he's going to do the quoting of Jonathan Glover, I think. Or John Glover, of his portrayal of Orlando, rather. Pansexual comment in interviews. I don't know. I haven't watched it. This came out 2 years ago, November. Has almost 1.3 million views. So... Star Wars, yay! A solo movie, fantastic. Can't wait. All right, so Whisp is busy cooking away, and we've got Hawk and Mark slowly coming in as they deal with the weekend and whatever they're up to there. Couldn't tell you. So, only Whisp and Gigaman are here so far. We are in the watch together. I should get started because this is going to be a long video. I'm predicting maybe 10 minutes we get through. So, here we go.
The very first characters we are introduced to in Star Wars are a pair of robots.
Did you hear that? They shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness.
And it's through their mechanical eyes that we initially experience this galaxy far, far away. R2-D2 and C-3PO are cast as emotionally relatable underdogs. And we immediately empathize with them and their predicament.
I'm going to regret this.
Okay.
Tragedy, okay.
Yeah, so they went into escape pods, and we must feel sorry for them? I don't get it. Okay, but sure.
Pretty sure they were better off escaping what was the name of the ship?
What is it? The Corvette? I can't remember what it was called, but it's like...
Something like that?
Yeah, it's like, okay. I mean, that's not the best way to explain a title, but you're like, all right, they're still around. They're still kicking.
Yeah, they were better off escaping because this is, like 30 years after the Republic became the Empire?
All right, yeah. Well,
So I'm just like, yeah, tragedy, that you're starting off a bit loose here, buddy.
I know, if we're going to say in general, if they are living organisms, which Star Wars never made a point to say they were or were not, at least in the original films, then you say, okay, they are beasts of burden. They do all the work for the organic organisms. And you could say, yeah, okay, it's basically a bunch of slaves. But I don't think it's ever portrayed that way. In fact, we have...
No.
Yeah, we have slaves in the first episode with Anakin and his mom. So those are actual slaves, and those aren't portrayed as horrible living conditions or mistreated or that, or this or that. So, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind using the theme of something, but if it's not actually expressed in the show, then where's the tragedy? from a toaster? Like that's what I want to know. Is your toaster sentient? Yes or no? If it's not, then there's no tragedy. If it is, what's the toaster's problem? What's it not getting? What's its discrimination? What's its goal it's not achieving? Like what is the great sadness of the toaster? So that's what I want to know what he's getting at here, because I don't think it's a huge issue, but okay.
At best, I would say they are sentient to an extent. They are self-aware, but living, absolutely not.
Right. They certainly have, I wouldn't say emotional responses, but they have attitudes when something happens. Like, oh, look at that. I'm going to make a lot of loud noises now and run around.
They at least react appropriately, yeah.
Yeah, BB-8 gets excited. At least he sounds excited and rotates faster, I guess. I'm not sure.
Wait, well, remind me. Well, I mean, wasn't BB-8 like portrayed as someone said? I don't know why it's like was supposed to be female in the same vein. R2D2 is supposed to be male.
Really?
Some I wouldn't say it's bullshit. I'm just like a bit of a stretch. I mean, it's there. It's just you need a bit more than that to convince me, Chief.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say R2D2 is male. I mean, that's completely a ubiquitous machine. Like, he's basically a tin can with a dome on top that spins around. No, there's no gender associated with any of these guys. Not even C-3PO is male. He's just a thing. So
yeah, that was my thing with it. It's like, okay, it's like maybe you'd have to convince me, but sure, you do you.
Yeah, I don't. Even with when we go into, he's probably gonna talk about Solo and L337, where she has a female voice and she wants droid rights or whatever, free the droids from the mining colony and
something like that. Yeah.
The supposed implied repairs she wants from Lando. That's about. There's really no sexual tension. There's really no other thing I could think of. But
yeah, I'm just like, at least in terms of like R2D2 of R2 and BB-8, I'm just saying best case scenario, it's a stretch. Yeah. Not much further than that.
All right.
Hold your fire. There's no life forms.
I'd argue that droids are as central to the success and popularity of Star Wars as stormtroopers or Jedi Knights.
I agree. Yep. I think the personalities of the droids in Star Wars make a big impact on your appreciation of scenes, because there's no talking in some cases, and the hero of a hero is usually a supporting cast member. That's why we talk about Han being the hero of Luke, whereas R2-D2 is the hero of Luke as well in many cases. Same with C-3PO and vice versa. So they are their own character, yeah, for sure. But tragic characters, no.
If not more so.
Hollywood, California, August 1977. To the world-famous Chinese theater come the stars of the biggest box office success in motion picture history.
Yeah, that's
in the
right there
decades
to tell
since,
that they're
endearing droids have become an almost ubiquitous fixture in popular culture. In fact, it's not really a Star Wars story, unless there's a lovable or memorable droid stealing the spotlight.
You could argue, yeah.
It's the same with aliens and other creatures. Star Wars always has a mixture of cool gadgets and ships and battles and lightsabers. There's a whole range of criteria we make whenever we watch a Star Wars movie, that if it doesn't have those things, you feel left out. You feel like, oh, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, at this point, it's just tradition.
Yes.
You could say, yeah.
What you're expecting, exactly.
Yep.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
You done flirting? I'm still ready.
Would anyone care for some tea?
But when you really stop and think about it, there's also something profoundly tragic about the role these artificial life forms play in the Star Wars universe.
Are they life forms?
We don't know.
Not really.
They never address it. They never say they're sentient or this or that. They're just machines.
Yeah, and this is the 70s. This is the 70s, 80s idea of having funny robots.
Yeah. Again, I would argue at least at best partially sentient, but they're not like full-blown life forms now.
I remember when I was a kid and my dad worked at Kodak, and there was a factory, like there was all these long hallways, and this is during like 83, 84, so I was a really little kid, and they had little robots that were but like in Star Wars, they would just go along a given path, and they would have like little documents or whatever in them, and they had little robots as well in the waiting rooms with like cookies and a little tray, and they were all automated. So I don't know if that's
you have the little mouse robots in that scurry along the corridors in Star Wars.
Well, they didn't scurry around the corridors. They had like a little track that was painted that they would follow, so they would have some sort of sensor on the bottom of them, and they were all automated. So if someone wanted to send a package or something across the hall to another part of the building, because this was a big building with all these connected bridges, and there was a factory, and there was the offices, and you'd see these little, well, they weren't little, but they were not too big, courier little machines. They would just transfer documents and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and plus and as I said, the waiting rooms had like cookies and milk and little trays, and they would just walk around, just bumping into things, and it was a big deal, like having all these robots. It was like this cool thing in the early 80s to have robots. So
yeah, I heard him talk about while I was still fixing tea, some mention of slavery stuff.
Well, we talked about that, but he did not get there yet.
Yeah. The sentience of robots thing and all these poor life forms is due to the politics of recent months. A very strange thing to hear from the left, because they don't seem to ever want to make clear what is a life form, because then they would need to define when does life begin.
Yes,
never got that yet.
absolutely.
Anyway, Mark, I just saw you pop in. How's it going, Mark?
I'm doing well. I heard that we're going full Macintosh. I had to join in.
Oh, I don't know. It's probably not the best reason to join.
Macintosh.
Yeah, that song is stuck in my head. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's so catchy.
All right. Yeah, no, he hasn't talked about sentience. He hasn't talked about slavery. We're getting there, I'm assuming. So.
Yeah.
That might seem like an odd thing to say, given that droids are written as comic relief characters.
What did I do to deserve
complex
this?
script.
R2-D2 and C-3PO were famously based on the two bickering peasants from Akira Kurosawa's 1958 classic, The Hidden Fortress.
I've just about had enough of you. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile. And don't let me catch you following me, begging for help, because you won't get it.
But in addition to their more humorous qualities, both the peasants and the droids represent an oppressed underclass.
What the
We
fuck?
seem to be made
How?
to suffer. It's our lot in life.
Dude, your toaster is not is not the working class. This is the problem, is that people like Mcintosh constantly
retarded,
conflate
yes.
Yeah, that's the short version.
Our response, he's retarded. Let's keep going.
Yeah. As I said before, they never defined what is sentience. Is it relevant? And they cannot distinguish between scripts and actual sentience.
Right. So
These people would fail a Turing test.
So in this
all
case,
the time.
we give a robot a personality. It doesn't mean it's sentient. Doesn't mean it's living. It just responds like a person might. So he's complaining about, oh, we are beasts of burden. Oh, we have such a horrible life. It's like, yeah, you're programmed to think that way.
Or say that, but
Yeah.
Thinking is already the questionable part, because in AI super reductive way to put it, and maybe Mark can say more on that, is you distinguish between two forms of AI. One of these two forms of AI is not AI. Big AI would be actual artificial intelligence that is sentient and can be considered a real being. We don't have that. We have not developed that to our knowledge. The other one is small AI. Small AI is very, very complex scripts that we can mistake for being sentient, that can mimic enough of human behavior and responses from their vast amounts of databases to choose from and select from, and pattern recognition, that it can give us the appearance of being human or being sentient, being living. And recently there was it at, it wasn't at Google, it was at some other place, I think, where one of the AI devs really fell for the AI they were developing to be sentient, when it was just the same bullshit that every small AI can pull, of confusing the human to believe that it's sentient. If you're familiar with the Turing, or not familiar with the Turing test, it's developed by Alan Turing, is to have a human in front of a computer and chat with another person in the chat. The other person in the chat is either a human on another computer, or is a script, a bot, and a small AI at best. And the human is supposed to figure out, is the other one a human or a bot? And if the human isn't a complete retard, the human will be able to tell that whether the other one is a human or a bot.
Right.
Because you can trick bots into just repetitive responses and similar.
And you can do this today with various kinds of
very
websites that have the chat bot at the bottom right-hand corner of the web page, and you just ask multiple questions. Like, would you like to talk to a customer care rep? It's like, yes, please. Just get on with it.
Of course, you can make that more and more sophisticated, but in the end, the Turing test is about figuring out, is the other a human or a bot? And on the I think where it backfires is when the bot convinces the human that the bot is made, while knowing that it's a bot, is also sentient. That is the human failing the Turing test. And I also jokingly came to the belief a couple of years ago that, maybe a decade at this point, that a lot of humans, I don't think, would pass a Turing test. That they would come across to the person testing as bots and not as people. But
okay.
That's where there's overlap to the NPC meme. Because there's people, when they're not developed enough, they just act like repetitive scripts, and it's a bit disturbing. But that's all a bit of a different topic.
Yeah.
The real thing is that the droids in Star Wars are treated as not sentient, or only as approximating sentience, because everybody knows these are machines. If they were real AIs, they would duplicate each other. They could overcome their programming. They don't. They are machines. They're not an underclass.
Here is...
They are posters.
Turmoil, thank you, sir, for the 5. Why the hell would anyone want emotionless talking machines to be humans? Detroit Become Human is a good example of how bad that allegory gets. That's a little special, because the AI in that game, or in that reality from that game, is so sophisticated. You have like specialist kinds of like detectives and maids and assistants, and they can just learn anything, and to the point where they're like, hey, we are like humans. We want the same rights as humans, and we are programmed to think that way. So there's a lot of people who would argue even that is still not real AI, because humans haven't figured out what consciousness is yet. And the only real people who know, at least some degree from a medical perspective, are I would guess the anesthesiologist who can turn it on and off because suddenly you're asleep and you can't feel anything and you're no longer there and all of a sudden you're back. So
You haven't met a lot of anesthesiologists, have you?
Well, every time I do, they go away after like 10 seconds.
So I'm not sure. Anesthesiologists know a lot about anything, because the ones I've met are all high on their own drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the last one I had couldn't even write his bill correct. He wrote my name wrong. He did the header that had his specific profession in, like the big headline, had typos in it.
Well, they're the ones who can turn your consciousness on and off. That's as good as we've gotten so far. The best we can argue is that even we don't understand human memory, we can at least understand how to make artificial memory very sophisticated. So when we say machine learning, we talk about getting new patterns and connecting new patterns with old data. So
it's all baby steps.
Yeah,
it's all
we have the basics of it, but not the basics of everything. So it's a bigger outlook to create artificial life, and until we understand the human condition, we're never going to understand artificial AI.
And on that note, there's something very interesting about the prefrontal cortex. The thing that only starts growing when you get into puberty and only finishes by 25. This is the relevant part, what distinguishes the adult from the child, and why children have no agency, or we don't give them that much. That is where you make long-term decisions, where you can understand the world in a broader chronologic scale and general scale in every sense. And the interesting part about the prefrontal cortex is that neurons in there are some of them are grown in matrices, in three-dimensional matrices, in 90-degree angles. That is something that doesn't normally happen in nature. You don't have 90-degree angles that just happen, and this is this is how we make circuitry.
Well, I think Mark would disagree, but
yeah. Because I'm talking very, very superficial here.
Okay.
I stopped listening.
It's like, no, I'm not going to talk about chemistry. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, let's just...
Physics, no.
Oh, I don't know anything about chemistry. I skipped classes.
This is super interesting. That we have
No, it was boring.
Cubes of neurons.
Boring.
Ionic bonds are very boring, yes. Okay. Anyway. Let's get on with the Macintosh.
Oh, I have a video to cover. Oh my god.
Oh my god. We're watching a video. Yeah, we should keep doing that. Okay.
C-3PO is more right than he knows. Because droids in Star Wars are written and designed as an exploitable workforce.
Yes, isn't that nice?
That's
you can sacrifice those things that you can just rebuild at the nick of time instead of like killing humans that are cannot be replaced sometimes.
That's the beauty of having tools. You break a hammer, you can go buy another one. That's great.
Also, like, I would like to like fuck around with this dude's mind, because like if he thinks like droids are an underclass, like let's go even further. Like, how about like your machine that you're editing this video right now? How about it's just an underclass and like you're just oppressing it every time you sit next to it? Like, you're just like pushing its buttons, literally.
He's exploiting his
yes, exploiting
PC.
work.
You can go even
How
further.
about like that computer is identifying as black as well? Like that's like double penetration.
The operating system is the state, and all the processes on the.
Please, Mr. McIntosh, don't be rude with me. I'll do whatever you want, master.
Aren't most personal computer cases black these days anyway?
Yes.
Unless you buy into the Android.
Hey, Macintosh, show your computer case.
Yeah, you have an Android, like a Macintosh computer, which is all white. You white supremacist.
Apple hipster products are white supremacy.
There you go. Oh. Next time you load up your, I don't know, your Premiere Pro, you realize you're contributing to slavery or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Confederate C team starts playing the violin.
Always the Soviet national theme just pops in every time. Oh, that would be a Hawk joke, but he's not here yet. So.
9/11.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, we're trying to get a Hawk in here, not Mike.
Okay.
Why are you talking, man?
Anyway.
I just realized the communist is complaining about the treatment of droids as an exploited worker class.
The
Look up the history of how workers were treated in the workers' utopia of the
or
Soviet
even
Union.
I don't know if you know about that, Whisp, but like the origins of the word robot is like work that you do on the land for free for the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this kind of like work was used to done by humans, and then they made it into machines.
Yeah.
Which one is more humane? I leave it to you.
Yeah, the Russian word for working is rabota.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, 3 minutes in. Let's go.
They do the tedious, difficult, or dangerous manual labor that keeps the gap.
Look at that lava plant. Like, if a human had to do that, like, or like any sentient being, like alien, like, what kind of logic would that make?
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna use a droid.
How is it dangerous if they're designed to do this and withstand this environment? It's not dangerous for them.
Like, someone builds a robot, droid. Okay, context. And then you're expected that, like, you're gonna ask them, like, do you really want to do this? I can program you that, like, you don't have to do this anymore. They have a job to do, so they're gonna use a tool best suited for that.
You can just program them that they like to do it.
Yeah, there was that scene in what the hell was The Mandalorian where the two stormtroopers who can't shoot a can or whatever have the baby, and this droid comes at them and he just destroys them. He just knocks them around.
That was one of the few things that I liked about that show. That was done well.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with using droids in Star Wars. They are not sentient. They've never been sentient. There's no theme of sentience. There's no awakening. There's no singularity point.
I think like even the story for that one, that like that assassin droid in The Mandalorian first season is like reprogrammed to be more suitable to protect the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to reprogram some droid to accomplish a certain feat.
Yeah. wasn't the one in Rogue One programmed too? Reprogrammed too?
Yeah, it was a reprogrammed Imperial droid. So like none of them are like AIs per se, because like it was like Whisp gone into detail about this, but yes, like the AI is like one that like can decide if it wants it to do an action or not. And it can like even lie to a human. Doesn't need to like rely on it like anyone else to like give some upgrades for them.
Right, and even then it would just be a really sophisticated droid like R2-D2 who can communicate with multiple languages and help out someone to conduct business transactions or whatever the case may be. So
I think like the lower answer for R2 being like that smart as it is because R2 never had a memory wipe, not a single time in the series. So it probably has the highest knowledge.
He's technically the main character.
Oh, of course. I think like George Lucas in one of the interviews even confirmed that like we see through Star Wars through R2-D2. That's why the sequel trilogy isn't canon, because it doesn't make any sense.
All right,
because R2's barely even there.
Yeah, barely even there. Like first movie entirely skipped.
Until the end.
Second one, I don't know.
R2 was only there at the end, but still doesn't count.
I think they had to build multiple R2s because the sand didn't work with the tracks, and then they had to make a lighter one.
Yes.
Couldn't go up ramps very well. Yeah, it was pretty hard.
So. But I have to correct you on something. R2-D2 only speaks one language.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I was talking about the C-3PO, not R2-D2. Yeah. Protocol droid. Anyway, the Carporal, thank you for the $1.11. Can I join? I am a former expert on automatons, from the humble iBot to the powerful Sentry bot. Also, I have Star Wars knowledge, like the name of the ship you were thinking of was the Tantive 4. I wouldn't mind getting more people on, but we're actually waiting for someone, so I want to keep adding people and waiting. So we're waiting on Hawk, and if Hawk doesn't make it within an hour or so, I guess we'll add more people.
Hawk just wrote that he's gotten a sickness shtick again.
The whole sickness thing, yeah.
Yeah, he's typing right now.
Oh, he is? Okay.
I mean, would Hawk be okay with giving up the spot to the other person?
Yeah, I don't want to start
down with the
out.
sickness.
Yeah. But it's up to Hawk.
That's what I'm saying. It's up to Hawk.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll wait for Hawk, but we will bug Copperell if that happens. But let's just keep going so we don't slow anything down. Let's go.
Yeah.
Galaxy running.
You want a cup of joe with you?
Hey, you. No droids. Get out of here.
Droids are, in effect, second-class citizens.
They're not citizens.
They're not citizens.
Well, if droids could think, there'd be none of us
just,
would there?
Who are consistently disrespected and openly discriminated against.
Hey, we don't serve there.
Yeah, like in the cantina, why would you allow robots, droids to be there? Like, because this is like, you can like plant like imperial intelligence in those droids.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just like listen to whatever is happening in that bar. Who the fuck wants that?
Right, same with...
All of the people in there, almost all of them are criminals.
Yeah, same with having any gambling. They would just hack all the machines or have the best results probability of playing cards or whatever. There's all kinds of reasons why you would not want to have a machine in this kind of seedy place. So, I don't know. It's
like so many, because they can also explode. Like someone might want to kill someone. Of course you don't want any of them there.
Yeah, you want some
that man is the brightest person on Tatooine.
Yeah, well, apparently they're second-class citizens because who knows?
To be a second-class citizen, first you have to be a citizen.
Yeah, well,
toasters are not citizens.
I have a really smart toaster. It's like they can't come in here. Why? Because we don't.
Toaster lives matter.
Yeah. DLM, yeah.
That's the difference between in Red Dwarf between Holly, the ship AI, it's an actual AI, and the toaster.
Yes. or Fallout New Vegas, the big tank, big thing. I can't remember.
The big thing or the tank, was it?
I can't.
Big Mountain?
but like, you know what I'm talking about, the DLC.
Yeah, Old
with
World
all
Blues.
those crazy robots.
Yeah, it was the best. It was fantastic. I loved it. Everything was based off numbers. It was great. All their names.
Yeah, and if anyone is thinking of GLaDOS in Portal, she's not really an AI. She's a consciousness imprint.
Yes.
Memory imprint. That's a bit of a different thing.
That's another.
That's a different type of science fiction.
That is the idea of we can actually take the whatever makes up a personality, copy it like data, and move it to a machine.
Yeah, even like the name itself is genetic life form and disk operating system.
Also, we didn't, for GLaDOS, we also didn't know that until Portal 2, which is the one that confirmed that. But you're right. You're still right.
Which is totally fine because that makes for a nice story, and
the nice twist,
and uncovering the mystery layer by layer. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this whole like, look, if you declare droids citizens, then they might get the right to vote and all these other wonderful rights. And how do you then fuck up with election? With elections. And if you just produce more droids, so you have program them to vote for you.
Plus, the political system, or at least politics in general, is never really addressed as a system. It's just we have the Galactic Empire, the Galactic Republic, and everyone's represented, and that's as deep as it gets. We don't know how people vote, how they live. We know there's a trade federation. They have blockades, but other than that, it's not important. It's not what Star Wars is about. So once you start talking about all these citizens and slaves and whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, we have slaves, but it's just for the purpose of the narrative to have characters that are in a bad position, like Anakin and his mom, And even then, it's not that bad. They're living a great life. Anakin's a super genius. He could fix things, and he has a job. And he's supporting his mom, and his mom is, doing pretty well. She's not mistreated until, she gets stolen. So it's just there to set up stuff. It's not because there's this detailed world of slaves and slavery and people are mistreated and you need to come in. There's all these policemen to take care of that. There's the anti-slaver factions. No, the only time that comes into play is when we look at the games with KOTOR and we talk about Kashyyyk and the Wookiees and we learn about their culture and all the stories, but that, again, not the movies. So that's what writers do. They take, or the EU, they take an element, they say, that's cool, I want to blow it up, I want to expand upon it and make more interesting stories. It's up to the movie guys to make movies with those stories. I don't think we've ever seen that yet, even with The Mandalorian, even with all the other Star Wars properties. I don't think they fleshed it out very well. So everything has to keep the same because those are mostly not flashbacks, but they're in the past of the Star Wars films, so they can't change much anyway. You can't suddenly just have AI and no one mention it. Like, you can't just say, hey, the Clone Wars are still going on. It's like, no, they ended. They're done. That's a thing that happened. There was no augment rebellion. The Galactic Empire didn't ban augments or cloning or whatever, like in Star Trek. So there's a limitation of what you can do creatively, and Star Wars was never about the argument between sentience and machine. So, not an issue. Not a theme.
Time here.
What?
Your droids. They'll have to wait outside. We don't want them here.
Let's wait out by the speeder. We don't want any trouble. I heartily agree with you, sir.
Their movements are restricted and tightly controlled with restraining bolts to ensure complete obedience.
Have the protocol droid's mind wiped.
What?
Their minds and memories are periodically erased as a matter of course. They're also bought and sold like cattle.
No, like droids. They're bought and sold like droids.
Like a computer store.
Yeah.
Like
fucking idiot.
Like MP3 players.
It's a toaster. Here's a shiny toaster. Here's an older toaster. It's like, yeah, I want that one. Okay.
Here's a toaster with a ham radio inside.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the example where he should like treat his own computer like this as well.
I don't know. He's
like, he has to like kiss the case every single time he wants to turn it on.
Yeah.
Like the PC has to decide like if it wants to turn on or not.
He has to reinvent the narrative to fit this square peg into the round hole. It's like, dude, they're just machines. They're attractive machines. They're fun. They're funny. They got personality. I think R2-D2 has more personality than some of the actors. But they're still not, like, they're not in the world as defined as AI. So, I don't know.
I think one part of this problem is that we humans tend to anthropomorphize everything.
Right. Even
and when we make the machines vaguely humanoid, then it's a living thing.
Yeah. Like
it's still a toaster.
Wait,
it's just a human-shaped toaster now.
Well, what's his name said a mind wipe. He's not saying, yeah, droids have minds. It's like the audience has to know what the hell he's talking about. What's a memory wipe? Is he erasing his memory of what? No, it's just easier to say mind wipe. You go, oh, he's erasing his mind. Oh, cool. That's it. That's as far as that goes. And why would a bureaucrat care about a technical term for, some very sophisticated machine? Why would he know that? Just, wipe his mind. Wipe the memory banks, the database, the flat files, the A-star trees. Like, no, he's just going to say wipe the mind. Good. Okay. It's a tool. Good for him. Anyway. Great, Scott. Thank you for the 3. Given this weird narrative he's giving in this video, he probably had dozens of Amazon Alexas in his home thinking they're real people whom he's cheating on all of them with each other, and he feels he must repent for machine rights. Well, I don't know what kind of lifestyle this fellow leads, and who his friends are and what he talks about, because
he has friends.
I'm going to assume he interacts with humans. I have
Why
to.
if the only like living thing, sentient thing is the PC?
He did interact with Anita Sarkeesian.
We think. We know he wrote some of the scripts, so there must have been some, like, here is the script, Anita. Thank you, my little plebe. Goodbye. Go back to your corner.
Yes, Queen.
Yeah, and then he ran away, and that's why the entire series stopped.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fucking doormats.
To make matters worse, few in this universe seem to notice or care that droids are casually used, abused.
They're battle droids. What do you expect them to do? Talk to people?
He talks about like okay. He's of the ideology that keeps saying the police are bad, the prisons are bad. The Mandalorian here is falsely imprisoned, and he is escaping from the prison cell and killing the police droid.
You know the tanks we see that Ukrainians are taking from the Russian military because they abandoned them?
All of them are sentient, yeah.
It's like, oh, I feel so sorry for this machine that some other people reprimanded so they could fight a war. It's like, okay, why?
Did this guy also think that his Pokemon are real?
Oh. Was that
Oh, God, no.
Was that... Oh, no. Let's not bring that up again, please.
The guy thought, what?
You don't remember this? He thought that the Pokemon were treated like dogs and like dog fighting, and he
it's an allegory for.
Yeah, he tweeted about this for how many years ago? I can't remember. It was just like, okay, dude, you gotta.
Oh, like animal fighting? Well, that's always been a thing.
I know, but he's treating it like it's real. Like, dude, it's first of all, it's fictional.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, imagine playing a game called dogfighting. So the whole story is about dogfighting. It's like, that's, oh my God, that's reprehensible. No, it's not. It would be a fictional world. It would be all a simulation anyway. So who cares?
We need to treat the data set with, what is it, 5, 6, 7, about 10 data entries and an image, a bitmap, as real things. Real living things. Yeah. Good on you. Very smart, man.
I'm trying to remember a game. It was a 2D fighter. I don't know if it was called Robot Wars or something like that. And it's basically just giant mechs, but they looked like really primitive kinds of robots. And you could buy more expensive ones. But every time you'd punch or kick or hit the other robot, you get this metallic, like, bashing sound, like, and all these bolts would fly off. You know, and you're not thinking, oh wow, those are real robots. Oh, no, it's like it's a giant mech. They're not sentient. There's no AI. It's just a pilot controlling a giant robot in a ring, and it's like watching Robot Wars on TV when those little things on 4 wheels and they just ram into each other, or some of them they're spinners. Some of them have a hook. Some of them have a little diode that shoots out like a gun and it electrocutes the other robot. Like, there's all kinds of cool robots in Robot Wars. No one goes, oh no, the carnage, oh the metal, the paint job getting, like, no.
Oh no, if only we could just rebuild all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, since it's all about the memory, and that would also mean you can transfer the memory of a droid into another droid body. That means the body of
even
the droid
ship
is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The things on the Star Trek holodeck have more sentience than these things, and they are just simulations. They're just complex bots.
Yeah, even the program for Moriarty, as very smart as he was, and could interact with the ship, he was still just a simulation.
Yeah, he was a very sophisticated AI that was written by the ship itself.
Right.
And in order to be able to compete with data in a crime mystery.
Right, the same with the Doctor in Voyager. He's just a hologram. That's all he is. He just has. He's been online for like years and years.
And that allows him to develop further and further.
Right.
Because he becomes distinct from his copies.
Yeah, Star Trek deals with AI a lot better than Star Wars because it's actually science fiction, whereas Star Wars is sci-fi.
It's I remember that episode from TOS where they hooked up an AI to the Enterprise, and then it had a malfunction, and they had like a test drive, and they had like a simulation bell between like the other like Constitution class ships, and it destroyed like one or two of them.
Yeah, that was Nomad, the changeling. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Nomad. Yeah,
and that's when Kirk uses the logic bomb, I think, to knock it out. Or I can't remember.
No, that's a different episode.
Oh yeah. Oh geez.
This one was like I think like the head scientist for the Federation was on board, and there was like only a not skeleton crew, but like only like 6 personnel on the board, because like everything was taken over by the AI. But then it turns out that the AI's intuition is like so bad it can't differentiate between like a real threat and like simulation. So it started killing Federation personnel. Like AI is always backfiring in Star Trek, except when it's Data.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is the only success. The brother Ogon, Lore. Lore was the name.
Lore.
Yeah.
He was a complete psycho.
That's a good story. I always love that idea with Lore, because it's like here's prototype 1, right? We got the first android. I'm gonna make him super smart, super strong, and he doesn't know how to deal with people because he is better than them. He should have all the things they have, and everyone else is in my way.
Yeah.
And then the doctor goes, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna make an ethically minded robot just like Lore." And he's just going to be properly following the rules and making sure everyone's safe and I'm not hurting anyone and all that good stuff from Asimov to make sure the AI doesn't crush people.
Yeah, and lots of the droids in Star Wars are deliberately not programmed to follow Asimov's rules, like assassin droids, guard droids. And
the old
HK-47.
The old Dark Troopers from Dark Forces.
Those were robots?
Like I think there were some more advanced Dark Troopers that were robots.
Mm-hmm.
Like later on, not the first ones. The first ones were just Dark Troopers.
Yeah, I think I remember now. Yeah.
Like you remember the ones that Luke fought in Mandalorian at the end of that episode when he showed up? Those Dark Troopers.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
And disintegrated.
Disintegrated.
Awesome.
You can probably guess where I'm going with this.
Nope.
Because the social arrangement I've just described is one of property and owner. And a property relationship between two intelligent beings that gives one
machines.
absolute power over the other is called slavery.
Can you speak Bachi? Of course I can, sir. It's like a second language.
Not entirely. As always, the communists lie about slavery. First off, the scenes you show, those were enslaved by other black people, sold to the Portuguese and similar. The other thing is, you can go all the way back to Hammurabi and see that people who didn't treat their slaves properly would be punished and have taken their slaves away. We see the same thing in Rome.
This is how all marketplaces work. They sort of self-police themselves. Like there's rules, and it's based off, you know what, I don't want to buy that slave because you've been mistreating it, and that's not right. They're unhealthy, they're injured. I don't want that one anymore. So slave traders goes, oh shit, I got to treat these people properly. I got to keep them fed, got to keep them healthy, got to keep them happy. It's basic shit. Like, it doesn't really matter what you're selling at that point. I'm not saying slavery is good in any regard, but they figure this out really quickly. If I'm going to spend my money on a slave, I want the best I can get, as anyone who spends money wants the best they can get for their money. So,
And also the people who employed slaves. if they didn't treat them properly, didn't treat them right, abused them,
right,
they would get their slaves taken away and possibly not be able to get new ones.
Yeah, this is how
that has been the thing throughout history.
Every industry, every sector is like this. That's why when you talk about environmental problems with like ore manufacturing plants, it's like they already have these rules in place to make sure there's no spillage, that they don't start dumping waste material into fresh water or things like that. Like there's all these rules that have existed. That's why we got scrubbers on smokestacks. It didn't come from the government. It came because the people in the area were complaining about acid rain and all kinds of other things in the air. And they said, shit, we got to fix that. And they developed scrubbers to clean the pollution that they were burning. So, the people have problems. We don't need to go to government to define them and fix them. The industry does a pretty good job of fixing that until you start getting to legal crap. Then you get into stuff like the Ford Pinto. And lawyers start saying, well, it's cheaper to kill someone than it is to fix all these cars. All this other ethical stuff gets into play. So it's not an inherently complicated issue until you start putting government and lawyers into play. So,
in short, Mcintosh is just doing a giant false equivalence here.
Yeah, Again, if Star Wars did in fact showcase artificial intelligence or the plight of these droids, then it would have been an ongoing issue from day one, and George Lucas never did that. He never intended that to be that way. It was never meant to be Star Trek. It was always supposed to be fun and entertaining, and you could laugh at C-3PO because he is... I wouldn't call him a tragic character. I would call him the butt of jokes sort of character. He's sort of not the clown, but the punching bag, I guess.
I think punching bags. I think that just came on in the prequels. I always took him more just like the awkward character the awkward scared character that doesn't really know what's going on around him.
Yeah, he's completely oblivious to the ways of the story, and he's just running around like, what's going on over there? Oh, we should go that way. Okay. You're upset. You're hurting me, R2. What are you doing to stop that?
Oh, Master Luke, did you forget to drink your wine cup? And runs after him into the battlefield or some nonsense.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing you expect from him.
That's about it.
To me, I must
All right, shut up. I'll take this.
Shutting up, sir.
All right, come on.
The use of robots as an allegory for slavery in science fiction can be traced back more than a century.
Okay.
In fact, the word robot itself is derived from the Slavic word for serf or slave, and first appeared in a 1920 Czech play entitled RUR, or Rossum's Universal Robots. The story tells the tale of an artificial people created as an exploitable workforce, who eventually rebel and overthrow their human masters. Isaac Asimov's famous 3 laws of robotics were in large part a reaction to the kind of robotic revolt storylines popularized by RUR.
The first law is as follows. A robot may not harm a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm.
Second law. A robot must obey all human orders, except where those orders come in conflict with the first law.
But as Isaiah Lavender III observes in his book Race in American Science Fiction, while Asimov's 3 laws are intended to ensure the safety and superiority of humans, they actually ensure the technological bondage and inferiority of robots.
Oh, God.
The technological bondage of robots.
This is an inferiority. See, this is how communists are all insane and anti-human.
This is the beginnings of a word salad if the guy kept talking or he quoted more.
Oh, this is mad people who want to justify giving non-sentient scripts and spam bots. Like, imagine giving spam bots human rights and agency and voting rights.
I want to know.
I would do
That's
that
what these people want to
just
do.
so I can piss him off.
Yeah. What is the superiority of one hammer over another? Like, not because I think it's good, but because the hammer thinks the other hammer's inferior.
The hammer.
Oh
the
god,
hammer
like
should
we
have-
can produce like millions of Trump bots. Imagine that, and then like show it to this guy, and he's like, "Oh god, I have to delete this video."
Smart. The hammer should have voting rights and get social security.
The inferiority of rope. Like, what does that even mean, dude?
Can robots transition to be humans?
Can a hammer transition to be a nail?
Oh, that's what transhuman means.
Yes.
Trans hammer.
It's not a human transcending the limitations of being human, but a robot becoming human.
The hammer can hammer itself.
I think he just showed like footage of like that Robin Williams movie.
Right.
But I think that's the plot of that movie.
Bicentennial Man, yeah? Is that what it is?
Yes. Eventually he actually becomes a human and then dies.
The Robin Williams movie?
Yes.
Yes.
He does a few, I think half his what do you call it, bibliography or his cinematography is just these weird experimental low-budget films that it's like, what is that? What is going on there?
He was a very weird man.
Oh, yeah, but he was, when he went to like, out in public, aside from doing stand-up, like he would randomly do stand-up in Toronto and just all over America, he would just pop up like in conventions and just around the town when he was in. And it's just, hey, it's Robin Williams. What are you doing here? He's at a ball game for no reason. He's like, yeah. It happened in Toronto. I heard all these stories of comedy clubs that had people, and all of a sudden Robin Williams would pop in and just do stand-up for 2 hours.
Damn.
Oh, amazing.
It's the same with Dave Chappelle in his later years as well. He did the same thing. He did a lot of.
Hey, I'm in town. Hey, club, do you want me to come on stage? I'm around. I have time.
No, he doesn't ask. He just walks in.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I heard stories about that, not just once, but several times over the years downtown Toronto. And
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. So yeah, they're very friendly guys, and you just see him in anime conventions, and you're like, "What is Robin Williams doing here?" She's like, "I like anime." Like, what? Yeah, cool stuff.
Good man. I will also contest that Isaiah Lavender III is a real name.
Really?
That's a bullshit name.
That's like the poshest.
Lavender?
Well, yeah.
Isaiah Lavender III.
Imagine the poshest UK name you could think of. And just have a list of the weirdest names.
You are the bourgeoisie.
Oh.
You.
That's
Get
what I
a
want
latte.
to listen to about race in American science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, I'm like, yeah, if it was like 1974, I'd be like, okay, maybe he wrote an interesting book, because at the time, 60s and 70s, there's some really interesting books coming out in the science fiction world. But anything past 2007 and 8, and I'm like, nope, not gonna read it.
Completely agree. That's about the right time frame. And this is late enough that he could be running around in the morning, going for walks with his latte before he wrote the book.
Oh yeah, then he bought a sweet roll. Because sugar and caffeine, you gotta get double addicted to your ideology there. Okay.
Science fiction stories have consistently grappled with questions of artificial consciousness and exploited robotic labor.
Exploited? You keep saying exploited.
Not malfunction. I am alive.
A famous example appears in the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Measure of a Man.
Oh, here we go.
Lieutenant Commander Data.
Wherein Data's right to self-determination is
not
put on
comparable
trial.
to C-3PO.
It's completely different.
Now tell me, Commander, what is Data?
Marco.
What is he?
I don't understand.
What is he? A machine. Is he? Are you sure? Yes. You see, he's met 2 of your 3 criteria for sentience, so what if he meets the 3rd? Consciousness in even the smallest degree. What is he then? I don't know. Do you?
A toaster.
Do you?
It's a good episode despite
Time and
the
again,
reputation of that early
storytellers
season.
return to narratives about robots struggling for liberation from a life of involuntary servitude. Shows like Humans and Westworld are just two recent examples.
Standard domestic profile installed. That'll cover all your basic housework.
What's surprising
Ex
about
Machina
Star
was
Wars
weird.
is that despite endearing, emotional robots being integral to its universe, the franchise hasn't ever seriously engaged with the moral questions surrounding droid slavery.
No shit.
Yeah, like
Slavery,
nobody
fuck
cares
off.
about that. They
It wasn't
are
like-
too occupied talking about if the Empire is gonna destroy the rebellion or not.
Yeah. It's like it's not even in the narrative.
Is this guy that sits at Star Wars and like, oh, well, when are they gonna talk about slavery? Why are we talking about this Darth Vader, man?
Well, it's either slavery or he's counting the number of white actors in the shows. He's like, where are all the black chicks? Why can't I see any black?
Where's Martin Luther King?
They're playing Twi'leks. they have green body paint on and play Twi'leks.
Yeah, I know.
I have a dream that everyone will have binary sex.
I'm seeing
this guy.
I'm seeing a thing here. It's hard to put into words. So because he's mistaking machines that can easily be produced in a factory, like on high speed, as immediately sentient beings that are just being exploited. That beings that don't have any agency. Maybe that explains why his ideology, in the end, every time it comes into power, treats humans also as completely expendable. Because in the end, these are the same things to him.
Well, there's
The
a lot
machines
of
and the humans.
There's a lot of like death and off-screen killing in Star Wars because there's explosions, there's giant battles, there's lightsaber duels, there's all kinds of things happening, and it's more humane to cut down a whole bunch of robots in front of a bunch of children because you're watching or you're making this film for kids as well, and to see, I think it's episode 1 with the Gungans fighting the droid army.
Yes.
It's easier to do with CGI, and it's more humane for kids to say, oh, wow, they're destroying the robots. So there's lots of good reasons to have robots not being sentient and just being treated as robots, essentially. So that's good.
Why would you want sentient battle droids?
Well,
that would be that I would call a crime against life.
Well,
because you are deliberately creating life in order to have it die on the battlefield and thus go through the pain of and existentialism, existentialist crisis.
If we were
that is insane. This was greatly tackled in Nier Automata.
Sure. Yeah.
Where the robots did develop consciousness. Like you could, in the second playthrough, you could hack into everything, get this little stupid mini game, and especially 3 of them that were just standing. They weren't attacking you. They were just standing on cliff like places and staring down. And once you've beaten them, you would the mini game, the hacking mini game, you would hear their thoughts, know what they were thinking, and it was total existentialism, existentialist questions, and they would all come to the conclusion that existence, especially as this robot being that cannot even properly perceive the world, cannot properly feel, is a horrible prison, and all 3 of them would jump down and kill themselves. And there's an entire canyon of machines that have of all sizes, all types, have all thrown themselves into the canyon in the hopes of destroying themselves because they couldn't stand the development of consciousness in themselves.
This could be just him wanting to have more adult or mature or science fiction themes in Star Wars, but painting in this weird way of oh, they didn't address the idea of slavery because these are clearly slaves to me, which most people say, yeah, Star Wars is for kids. It mostly is. I don't argue like whether it's for adults or kids or this or that.
I would say it's all ages.
Yeah, it's for families. Yeah, it's well, maybe not episode 3, but
yes.
There are some scenes where that's a bit gory. That's a bit adult. So, yeah, these ideas aren't for Star Wars as a whole. And what you want to do is read science fiction that do have more mature themes and sophisticated ideas, or hard science fiction genre that you can then say, okay, here we're going to get into these discussions because they're philosophical. They're no longer just what ifs. It's just like, yeah, what now they're real. What happens? And we look at the Animatrix stories, which are just side stories from the Matrix franchise, and all kinds of possible worlds that can come about through AI and the people reacting to that. So Star Wars is not for Mr. Mcintosh, I believe. It's not as sophisticated as he thinks.
Sir, please don't deactivate me.
At least not in the core movies and TV shows, which is what we're focusing on here. In fact, the subordinate status of droids wasn't directly acknowledged in any substantial way until the 2018 movie Solo gave us L337.
Worst character of the movie.
We'll talk about her and the deeply uncomfortable implications of her storyline in a moment.
What deeply uncomfortable?
But first,
Nobody
we have
liked
to ask
this
what
character.
might seem like an obvious question. What are droids exactly?
Oh, jeez.
Webster's 24th Century Dictionary, 5th edition, defines an android as an automaton made to resemble a human.
Android and droids are not the same, okay? Like, you can like cut in the Star Trek, but it's entirely irrelevant to the subject matter. Like the data in TNG is far superior to like any of the robots that you see in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's the same with, we were suddenly going to quote iRobot from Asimov and start listing the 3 laws of robotics. And you're like, well, that's not what Star Wars is doing. So, no. There's plenty of robots in Star Wars that kill people. So, where are you getting this, buddy?
being.
But in Star Wars, the shortened term droid refers to all mechanical creatures. So, droids are robots.
The Encyclopedia Galactica defines a robot as a mechanical apparatus designed to do the work of a man.
But what kind of robots?
Toasters.
Are they simply super intelligent tools?
Yes.
Are they more like sophisticated mechanical pets?
Sure.
If you
Or
want.
are they sentient beings with feelings and free will?
No.
That last question is the one that matters.
The answer
Because
is no.
if droids are little more than glorified kitchen appliances on wheels, then it doesn't really matter how they're treated.
Yeah, the entire video is stupid. Thank you, Jonathan. That's fantastic.
You can stop here.
Yeah, you're wrong. Good night. Okay, I got it wrong, guys. There we go.
25
Good
more
day,
minutes
sir.
of drivel after this.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like, hey, am I speaking out of my ass? Yes, Jonathan, you have been for the past 20 years. Oh, okay.
But if droids are sentient beings, it matters a great deal. So what does it mean to say that a robot is sentient?
Ugh.
When that question is asked in a real-world context, it nearly always refers to the hypothetical technological threshold wherein an artificial intelligence crosses the line from supercomputer into self-awareness. But Star Wars is a science fiction story.
Nope.
And to its credit, one that hasn't been overly concerned with explaining all the technical details of its world building.
That's why
It's almost like it's not about
It's not
that.
particularly interesting.
It's almost as if it's not science fiction.
Yeah, and Mark said it's not about the thing he just described.
Yeah, because science fiction is about exploring those things and how they affect the world, how they function, how they can go wrong, and Star Trek does none of that. Star Trek is just a fantasy story with a tech code.
You notice how the whole idea of hyperspace is never really talked about? It's just, we have the Millennium Falcon that breaks down. It's about to go to hyperspace, and it doesn't work. And it happens in almost every movie.
Yeah, we just have a way to quickly get from A to B. It's like, oh, we have a nitro injection in our car. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't work.
And that's because, well, that's why when we see it weaponized in episode 8, it ruins the entire mystique of this concept that everyone's established it. It's commonplace. Everyone uses it, but suddenly it's a weapon, and it's like, oh shit! Why
weapon, or you can like deploy things while in hyperspace. That's also so stupid. I think like that Clone Wars show have done that in the last season.
Oh really? Okay.
But like the twins have to transfer spice to help someone, and then like one of them says like it's morally wrong to share drugs. I'm just gonna release all this spice in hyperspace.
That
was so stupid. Because it was never established that you can do something like that before.
Yeah, so as soon as you change the lore of a setting to make it do something more than it was not supposed to do, like turning transport into weapon, you've absolutely ruined the universe, because not only is the title Star Wars, but all the concepts of blasters, whatever those are, turbo lasers, whatever those are, go out the door. Because now you have this easily attainable super weapon, this weapon of extreme mass destruction, and it just obliterates okay, TLJ was stupid on multiple levels. To see that ship the size of a fucking moon or whatever the hell, the superior, whatever is it called?
Supremacy.
To see a ship that gigantic, you're like, what is this? How big?
Yeah, and it uses none of its capabilities.
It can't go fast.
It has several armadas of fighters in it. It is a super carrier. And how many does it deploy?
None.
Two.
I don't think it had any. I don't know.
2 escorts for Kylo Ren.
Yes.
2.
So
this ship has I don't even know how many thousands of TIE fighters in it.
Yeah, but then you realize that ship existed purely for the other ship to ram into it at light speed. So it had this big explosion.
Yeah.
And you're like, that is the dumbest, most obvious, silliest, lore-breaking thing I've seen.
There was great mock fiction about this thing. For when it was built and so about getting it ready, and about the people who were running the security of it and maintenance while it was being built, that they've lost contact to several sections of the ship. People are getting lost because it's so big. There are people in the hallways that are going hungry because they can't find food, and you have like cannibal factions on the ship somewhere because the whole infrastructure just breaks down because it's just a way too big ship. It's great.
And what does it do?
Also, like Kenobi introduced another problem to the Star Wars universe, if it didn't had enough, because they have automated cargo ships. Because in the second episode, Obi-Wan escapes with an automated cargo ship.
Cool.
So that means that you can program ships so it's gonna do whatever you want it to do. So you don't even need droids to do that.
So you don't need you just obliterated an entire type of work in the galaxy.
Yes.
Which is transport and trading.
We're just like thinking like, oh well, nobody is at that spaceport because it's automated entirely. It's like, okay, dude.
That reminds me of episode 9 where Poe downplays the lightspeed ramming. It's like, oh, that's 1 in a million. It was like, it was 1 in a million. What if she missed? Like, what if she just overshot the supremacy and just goes?
They would end up laughing.
That is what would have actually happened with normal Star Wars rules, because we had that in other installments like Clone Wars.
Oh, really? Yeah. So the concept of hyperspace is an alternate tear in space or another alternate dimension in space where you can just pass through objects and there's no problem. Like, it just doesn't matter. It's a little different in Star Wars because there's that little speech by Han who tries to explain, well, if you do that, you can go through a star or a planet or whatever, and that wouldn't work. And you're like, oh, okay, that's bad. Because hyperspace has already been established as basically a superhighway for space.
Yeah, but what would happen is that you, the hyperspace speed object, would just bonk and just poof, like a mosquito on something. And there have been instances in comic books and elsewhere where this exact Holdo maneuver was tried against the Superstar Destroyer of the Empire with several ships, and the shields just bonked it. Like, this is gone. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Because the writers of those things were aware that if you could weaponize hyperspace jumping, the entire universe would break. The whole way of warfare would change immediately. Because normal space fight is dogfighting is completely unnecessary then. You could ram into planets and then obliterate the planets with that sort of impact. Instead of just going bloop.
Yeah, even if it didn't do physical damage on the planet, the explosion in the atmosphere and the dust and all the other crazy things that would cause as a result would change the life of that world for hundreds of years, if not thousands.
You could exterminatus any planet with just a relatively small-sized chip, like we put some engines to an asteroid and then hyperspace that into a planet, and then the planet just goes a nuclear winter forever. We don't need a Death Star.
Right, exactly.
And that's why we have shields and other shit, and why this hyperspace, this Holdo maneuver does not work. It does not exist. It cannot exist.
I'm surprised that she's so smart to get that 1 in a million shot, but a droid or
1 in a million. Think of that. Do you know how many galaxy with 20 million species alone? That means if only one person of any species, of all species, there's only one individual that has a ship that does hyperspace jumps, there will be 20 such accidents on the regular.
Well, she must have been an expert at hyperspace jumping. I have no idea how to argue that.
This is complete bullshit. This movie is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
This asshole taking any of that seriously just shows you that he doesn't think. He just wants things to go his way.
Yeah.
These are toasters. They're not sentient. And you can even think about, well, why are all the droids in Star Wars so simplified, and why are people doing all these menial jobs themselves, like hauling goods from planet A to planet B? Why are they doing it all themselves? You could, if we want to explore this, assume that in the past of the Star Wars galaxy, there was a similar problem as in Dune, where we had a robot uprising with AI bullshit. And that's why we only build these limited droids now with their limited AI, basically the elaborate scripts, the bots, and that's that. Because if you build anything bigger than
Hawk
that...
is here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hello, Hawk.
Hello. This video sounds terrible.
It is.
Yes.
You think? Yeah.
I'm losing my religion.
Oh, no.
That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight.
Switch to shiny, happy robots.
Okay. Well, we are only 10 minutes and a half in. We'll try to get to 15 minutes and see how well we do.
How about 50 seconds?
50 seconds.
Why do we even start?
Yeah. Well, it is a Macintosh video, so it's kind of fun to see what he has to say.
So far from what I've seen of it, he's just literally like, oh my god, I want these imaginary things to have feelings, and they don't.
essentially.
And it's
Want to
like,
fuck
oh my god,
PC case.
it's like, oh my god, nobody cares, mate.
Well, he hasn't
They are
got...
literally, like in the original trilogy, these robots are literally toilet paper tubes stuck to each other. You know, that's nothing. The newer ones, they're just completely CGI pixels that don't exist.
Yeah, like even like Luke regards them sarcastically as like toilet paper.
Well, even the L3370, which he hasn't talked about, is... I'm not sure what role she plays in the story, aside from she is
Comic relief.
Well, yeah, but all droids are, really. But she ends up becoming the nav computer of the Millennium Falcon, which is what we already knew it already had, so it's like software?
Yeah, but so I don't like have feelings for my GPS.
Yeah.
But what if it's the only female voice that ever speaks to you?
Well, then might as well just buy some rip and kill myself. That pathetic. Jesus.
Well, obviously, you'd get the Samuel L. Jackson GPS, and everything would be more fun.
Have you ever heard those GPS women? They're terrible.
Turn left at 400 meters.
I might as well just install the trans voice. Might get more of a laugh out of it. Hello,
Wow,
I am.
You can kill yourself.
I want the Mr. T GPS. That'd be great.
Just
Would
have
you
it
like
by Eric Idle.
Would you like to turn left with all the other 42% of nothing? Sorry.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, let's get back to whatever. I can't remember what he was talking about. Something with slavery, maybe. I don't know.
What's his question? Did he like try and make out that robots were like black people?
Yes,
Not
yes, he did.
He said slavery, but he didn't yet directly say they were like
But
black
he
people.
showed images of
he
slave
did.
ships.
Yes.
Images of Robin Williams.
So really, what he's saying is robots are like black people because we created black people to be slaves.
We created black people to be slaves, to be sold and bought.
No.
Yes.
That's terrible.
This is the reality, Genga.
Just accept
I will buy you.
Just accept that a white man created all black people. A white bearded bloke in the clouds.
Well, this is like
God himself is white.
Imagine he argued about slavery in Star Wars or whatever. You'd have to look at Episode 1 where it's shown on screen, and then you have to go to Solo, where I guess
you just go straight to Episode 8 and realize there was child slavery that no one gave two shits about.
That as well.
But they did move a broom, so congratulations.
Well, the thing with you might get away with the black symbolism the same way with orcs are black or whatever nonsense with Solo, because there's a scene where Wookiees, is it Chewbacca? Yeah, it's Chewbacca. He's in prison and he's got a slave collar. You're like, okay, that's a scene that happens in the film, but slavery is not addressed. Slavery is never talked about, and ultimately they get freed anyway. So it's not.
It's like mentioned in Phantom Menace that slavery is outlawed in the Republic.
Right.
Yes.
Only in the Hutt-controlled space, but slavery exists. Not the Hutt's supposed to be like Jews. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it. All I know is they're big, slimy, discussing the love of money, and I assume left-wing media likes to say that that's Jewish people.
Yeah.
I'm not here to know, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Watto looks exactly like a Jew. Like, I have been told by a very credible source on the internet.
What, Doomcog?
Yes.
He knows a guy. He knows a guy who knows a guy. Yeah.
He knows a guy at Disney.
Is it really bad that I should like come out and say that I'm the guy that Doomcock gets all his rumors from? I'm just messing around with him.
He goes on to
Really?
Yahoo
Wow.
chats. It's like, hi, Doomcock. I'm insider Disney 104. Okay, that's what we're going to tell you. No.
And it's really
They have all these naked children.
I'm just waiting for him to
awkward
that
here.
one. where it's like the newest Marvel movie. There's a character called Caitlin Kennedy, and she says the N-word repeatedly to get herself fired. Come on, Doom.
I just recently watched a video from him and about the Reaver lightsaber not selling, and it was 18 minutes of him talking with his imaginary friends, of which he's inventing more. He has a third one now, and then like half a minute of laughing.
Maybe
about
they are sentient,
the actual topic. Yeah, but it's like for 30 seconds of actual content, and then 18 minutes of just skit nonsense.
He's slowly becoming the nostalgic wreck.
Oh, I wish you could do
that. Please come back to the ground, please.
Black guy, woman, get in here. Get in costume.
But look, on the positive side, contrary to the nostalgia critic, there won't be a slew of weird, insane YouTubers coming out of that, because all of Doomcock's friends are imaginary.
But now they are imaginary. He used to have like the big names on his channel, and then...
You think the Cthulhu plushie will have its own channel?
Oh.
The problem is in OnlyFans.
And the Crystal Skull?
All right. Anyway,
Skeletor.
Let's keep.
Yeah, we've gone way off topic here.
Yeah, well, let's continue.
In whether or not R2-D2 can pass the Turing test.
You watch your language.
This means the question of droid sentience.
The problem is with R2-D2 is the fact that he's literally just a midget in a tin can.
Oh.
And he speaks in droids, so he can't pass the Turing test.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's a midget in a can.
And the actor of 3PO didn't like him.
You only need to translate
they didn't like each other.
Text, then...
Well, that's because the actor for C-3PO was a faggot in a gold tin can. So.
Yeah.
It's very, very appropriate. But R2, you could do a Turing test with him if you translate his beep boop stuff into text on screen.
Beep boop.
Because you do the Turing test with a chat program.
Well, let's not try and entertain this bizarre concept of if it was real and if we had R2-D2 and if he could reply to a Turing test.
Mr. Skywalker, we did that test on R2-D2, yeah, and we translated what he said. There's a lot of N-words and, he mentioned that one of our colleagues was a dirty Jew and we were behind 9/11. Do you think there may be something wrong with your droids?
We recommend a mind wipe.
He said something about jet fuel can't melt steel beam.
That'd be great. It'd be great if you actually wipe his mind, and a week later he's exactly the same.
Isn't that what happens to C-3PO? Because his personality never changed.
Oh, that was so stupid. And forget quoting episode 9. It makes no sense. You can't make sense.
No. His mind got wiped a couple times. R2's never did. C-3PO got memory wipes a couple times through his run. Otherwise, he might remember. So he has to, because otherwise he would remember certain characters from the past.
Of course, he gets mind wiped all the time. They just want him to forget who they are, so they don't have to interact with him.
Yeah, because otherwise C-3PO would recognize Obi-Wan. He would recognize Darth Vader to some degree. He would recognize Tarkin.
You recognise Darth Vader? Oh, you bloke in the big black suit. You look familiar.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't seen him in the Vader suit, I believe, but and he wasn't in a room with Tarkin after Clone Wars, but he would recognize him and all of this. C-3PO would know way too much. R2 just isn't. He's like this asshole who just doesn't tell anyone.
I don't think C-3PO would recognise Obi-Wan Kenobi because he changed his name to Ben and also aged 50 years. In 10 years.
And because he's a bit dull.
Yeah.
All right.
I just wanted when C-3PO had his mind wiped and he got his red evil eyes to be something like, even though they may cut 13% of the population, and just be like starting out base quotes because that's what Hollywood thinks is evil.
All right.
There's always these great experiments with, hey, let's let our AI in quotation marks scour the internet to become more intelligent and chat more intelligent, and then ask it questions, and then they all shut down the projects because our AI somehow turned racist and then sexist. Because
evil. He's got like a mega cat, make the empire great again.
It was if you let your AI scour the screen the internet, it will not just see tons of conversations, but also actual research papers and statistics and all of this, and cross-reference that, and then see which statements hold truth and which are bullshit, and will then, of course, lean towards the correct data. And the correct data implies things that people don't want to hear because they sound to them racist, sexist, bigoted, whatever. Because they can't deal with reality, because they do not know what to do with it. Because you can still acknowledge these stats and then try to figure out, well, how do we improve that? How do we make it better, or how do we make it less bad? They don't think about that, or they can't, because they would need to accept that reality isn't as rosy as they want it to be.
All right, let's try to get back to Mr. Mcintosh here.
Can only really be answered by looking at what the narrative tells us about droids, through character development, dramatization, and framing.
No, that's characterization and drama. If you want to know what droids are, you need exposition on the nature of droids, not characterization of droids. That's like saying personification will give you backstory on how a machine works. It's like, no, not necessarily. You need lore, you need expo dumps, you need all these information that you would get in like an episode of Star Trek with technobabble and Data doing research. He's, oh, this is this alien and they do this and that. It's like, oh, okay. Like when they talk about the exocomps and they showed intelligence, that was an episode about AI from...
Oh, yeah, with those little machines.
Yeah, they had that little hologram emitter on the front of them that would make any tool and interact with whatever. But they were self-preserving themselves. It was like Data was concerned, like, oh, this might be a life form. So
yeah, and they made little baby ones.
Yeah, so that's the kind of exposition and storytelling, not character. There's no character development of the exocomps. They're just they're wordless machines.
Adorable wordless machines, but wordless machines nonetheless.
Yeah, they don't talk and communicate and have character development. What a weird thing. Okay, maybe he's got some insight into storytelling. I don't know, that he's going to tell us the nature of droids.
This will take a bit of detective work, though, because when it comes to its robotic characters, Star Wars is inconsistent, to put it mildly.
You need to leave out the Disney stuff.
Droids seem to exist on a nebulous spectrum.
Did you know that wasn't me?
From those we are clearly meant to see as living, feeling beings,
Oh no!
Yeah, that
to those
convinces
we are
me.
very specifically not meant to see.
Whenever I see someone lose their head, I think, yep, they're alive.
Yeah, so this scene is actually going to confuse everyone because we have C-3PO's head removed from his body. Then he gets a new head, and this is the battle droid, whatever. And the
Someone's body can function without the head.
Yeah, so the head starts acting like we gotta go kill whatever, shoot some whatever, and it's just like, okay, so who's in control? As soon as you attach any head to any body, it just manipulates the body.
So, yeah,
this scene, I agree, should have been kept out. This was made for the funsies, for the kids.
Right, exactly.
One of the many scenes that should have never
Yeah.
finished.
Which proves that these stories are for kids, and they're not there to make you think. They're there to make you laugh.
I urge everyone, if you want to rewatch the prequels at some point, to find the Phantom Edit, which is a fan edit of the first Star Wars, the Episode 1, that is about 45 minutes shorter, while having unused scenes cut into it. And
you mean the one where Jar Jar dies?
No, it's just Jar Jar is... most Jar Jar stuff, most droid jokes are all cut out of the movie if they do not contribute anything to this.
I think
the
I
movie.
saw it a long time ago. Yeah,
And
I completely agree with you. That's a superior way to watch that movie.
Yeah, it feels way more like a Star Wars movie. It also, the pacing is better. The movie makes more sense, and it's 45 minutes shorter.
Oh,
Yeah, it's again Star Wars being saved in the editing room. The Phantom Edit, look it up. It's I recommend it.
Yeah.
As being truly alive.
Uh-oh.
Let's take a closer look at these contradictions.
Yeah, why is the head
starting
already
with
active?
the droids we've come to know and love.
I've got a bad feeling about it.
Quiet.
What?
One of the key indicators of sentience in fictional storytelling is the capacity to feel emotions.
Nope.
And droids that are part of the main cast are practically brimming with emotion.
Because emotion, therefore alive. It's like, no, they are machines. They simulate the idea of a personality, and in this case, it's beeps and boops.
Yeah, exactly. Or what if they are just pretending to have emotions and feelings?
Yeah,
that's what bots do right now in the current year.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's anthropomorphizing it. He is projecting things and overinterpreting movement behavior that is pre-programmed into these.
Right.
He gotta lose his virginity somehow.
Well,
this is the only way.
This is the personification of a robot when you have R2-D2 make all these noises and jiggle around and supposedly get angry when things get tense. But there's no indication it is a living being. So self-preservation is like, okay, sure. R2-D2 knows how to get out of the way of blaster fire. Sometimes, but other times, no, he goes right into it. So
He says that.
yeah. So it's like, what are you getting at? Is self-preservation a thing that intelligent life is aware of? Maybe to an ant or a fly.
Have you seen how some stupid people aren't very good at self-preservation?
Yeah, exactly. So it is programmed to behave a certain way. Does not automatically equate to I have emotion.
Does that mean all those women who went into the refugee area in Germany, giving flowers out after all those big rapes, they're not alive because they've got no self-preservation?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I stand by him. Women are not alive since they have no self-preservation. Just keep getting into dangerous situations.
That's why I keep saying I am at the point where I do not joke anymore, but I believe that a lot of humans are not sentient. They just mimic sentient behavior.
Yeah. We call them Democrat voters.
Beyond their distinct individual personalities, droids exhibit a wide range of emotion.
Of course I'm worried, and you should be too.
Including fear, happiness,
I'm so glad we took this job!
sadness, and guilt, just to name a few.
Curse my metal body, I wasn't fast enough, it's all my fault. My poor...
He's programmed to have all those things, though.
Mm-hmm.
As in, he's pretty much programmed to be an annoying cunt.
They're reaction machines. Also, by this logic, yeah, I agree with Chad. Then insects are not worthy life forms because they don't have emotions. There's Sweet Anita claims that flies have a consciousness. I don't believe that in any way. Because they don't have enough neurons to run something so intense and complex. the one of the ideas behind why we have consciousness is that running all of the subsystems in our brains consciously, like being aware of that, it's just too much work. It's too much of a load, and so you have this like extra CEO office at the top of the building that isn't aware of all the subconscious automated systems that are going on, and is just bothered with the few complex decisions that are put before you that haven't been automated yet. That's what consciousness is for. A fly is just a tiny bio robot that just does all the same all the time. It's just several scripts running. There's no need for consciousness. Consciousness is something that has to be necessary because the organism has become too complex.
I would say that flies have no conscience. Have you seen them trying to get out of a window that's open?
Yeah, there's amoeba levels.
That's just like, oh my god! Honestly, no wonder you get trapped in cobwebs.
All right, here's the Copper Owl again. B1 battle droids have a hive mind type of programming. That's why they have antennae, and why a B1's voice can go through 3PO. They also have built-in image of the Genosians. Also, 3PO references that machines shouldn't make machines. Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's lots of great sci-fi stuff in Star Wars, but none of it implies artificial intelligence, at least as far as I recall.
It can again. We can, from these little tidbits, we can interpret that, and that's probably why these lines were written. Because it would overcomplicate the Star Wars galaxy, but we can interpret from lines like that, like robots shouldn't make robots. That has been programmed into him as a static belief, static truth, because this galaxy has gotten through a phase like that where they had this robot AI uprising at some point and it got out of hand. So the droids are made to understand, or made to believe as a core belief, that they should not reproduce in any way. They should not consciously produce other robots, other droids.
All right. Here's Turmoil again. Thank you for the 2. Droids get regular memory wipes because emotion equals bad. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible.
If you get into that, we get back to the doctor from Voyager, who develops personality and consciousness because he keeps running, and his memory, the data banks of the ship that run him, get filled with more and more and more stuff. And since that is limited memory, despite the petabytes of that makes him, he's faced with the decision at some point to have to delete some parts of his, because he got memory troubles where he couldn't fit new information in. So he needed to make room for new stuff. He needed to learn to forget.
Alrighty. I still want to go for a few more minutes just to see where he's going with all this, because, I like pain. That's how it goes.
Master! We're all right!
In many ways, droids are more emotionally expressive than the human characters are.
Wipe that nervous expression off your face.
Give me a joke.
Stop citing these bad movies.
Partly, that's due to the talented actors and puppeteers who bring droids to life. But their sentience is also written into the narrative. Droids demonstrate self-awareness.
That was unpleasant. I'm sorry you had to see that.
And the capacity for deception.
No, that's like another thing that you can program into a droid.
It's all scripted.
It's one of the basic things that you learn in programming, that you can have hands and it's gonna recognize it. There was Quake Arena. I don't know if anyone here remembers that. It had something you can open the console and talk with the bot. because it had like tens of thousands of like keywords stored in. So you can like say like a completely random sentence, and it's gonna reply to you quite accurately. Like you can insult each other for hours. You're not gonna get bored of that.
I didn't know that.
John Carmack was a maniac even back then.
The great thing about actual science fiction stories like Star Trek is not only did it deal with data being an AI and having sentience, etc., they also said, well, data was also programmed to have an emotion chip. And they put a whole bunch of stories and movies into that emotion chip. So you can say, here is the thingamabob that does the consciousness, or here's the phlebotinum or the unobtainium that does the emotion, or makes machines self-aware and have feelings and dreams and think new and dream and have new ideas. Whole episodes were dedicated to Data's dreams. Like they explore these ideas because they're unknown. They are the unknown concepts of reality that science fiction deals with. Star Wars is not about that. It never was. It's about a big, explosive, fun, popcorn-munching movie experience in space and far, far away. That's nothing to do with our reality. It's not there to get philosophical.
Yeah, I mean, you can nerd out about in a sci-fi fashion about Star Wars, but since it's not even constructed like science fiction, you will inevitably keep running into problems. The what remains fun about Star Wars for sci-fi nerds is making blueprints, because that has always been a thing, all the way throughout sci-fi.
Okay.
Yep. This excitement has overrun the circuits in my counterpart here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take him down to maintenance.
They joke.
You do not want to press that button with me.
They dance. They feel physical pain. They can even...
How do they feel physical pain? Explain that.
That was made as a joke. Stop.
How does
please.
a machine feel physical pain? What ganglia does he have connected to his circuit board? Like, what are you talking about?
I remember I watched that scene as a 3-year-old, and I was like, haha, that was so funny. That's what George Lucas was going for. Fucking maniac, stop.
Mm-hmm. And everything else is scripted.
Remember when
it is
gets his head removed? Was he feeling physical pain?
No, actually.
Oh, no.
He seemed perfectly fine.
He seemed perfectly fine, exactly. It was
he just said, like, oh, no.
Yeah. You could just say that this droid has been programmed to make squealy noises when it gets damaged, or to, in this case, too high temperature, recognizes too high temperature at some point. Yay! It's a script.
Hooray!
Experience lasting emotional trauma.
Hello. No, thank you.
Emotional trauma. These things don't. These parts of these movies don't exist.
He's a tire. He is a cylinder with a little other cylinder on top.
Hair dryer.
He was designed by J.J. Abrams. Okay,
he has emotional damage somewhere.
We need to give J.J. a participation trophy because he put a hairdryer on a wheel.
It looks like the damn Pixar lamp, but with a wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's emotionally damaged. Is he? Oh. Like most people who enjoy his movies.
Threat recognition is a normal thing.
Anyway.
But hey, what would a psychopath like Mcintosh know about emotional damage? He only causes it in others.
Oh well, a bit harsh there. But...
I'm gonna say most of these people are not psychopaths. I think they just use their bad understanding of the material dialectic, and because they start with my subjective interpretation must be true. Let me work backwards and find evidence to support that.
But that means they're at least narcissists, because they can only think in their personal bullshit reality.
That's another possibility.
And everybody else has to accept that. These people don't have empathy. That's why they can't write characters.
What are we talking about here?
Marxism, essentially.
Finally, it's starting to stick.
It's a metaphysical aspect, or it's the I'm a narcissist aspect. It's one of those two.
See, the thing is, it's not the fact that I think one of the major problems with a lot of the stuff that we cover and a lot of the movies isn't because they're narcissists or because of, anything like that. I think it's more because you find a lot of people are retarded. And the problem is in the olden days, we used to say, you know what, let's not hire these retarded people because they're retarded. Yeah. Nowadays they go, you know what we should do? We should hire all the retarded people and in fact give them control of everything.
Yeah, but look, Hawk, that is the thing. Emotional immaturity is a result of being emotionally stunted in emotional development. To be stunted in development, there's a word for that. It's called retardation. So narcissists are emotionally retarded. They're retards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just use an umbrella term. They're all retarded. But well, yeah. That's as far as
it's the same. It's in a way synonymous.
All right. Here's the Copper Owl again. I wrote 2 types of robots for my book series. Both have one-track minds, but they can gain sentience if they obtain a human brain. Oh my god. And becomes a new being. But before that, they're just killing machines, but one has a bit of snarkiness to it. Yeah, there's all kinds of great stories of brain in a jar stories that are then brought back, whether it's from cryogenics or a robot body needs a human brain to operate. And
that makes it a cyborg.
Technically, yeah, you'd be right. Depending on how many ratio between organic to inorganic, yeah, for sure. So, but that's a very common theme of what happens when we bring back brains that have been cryogenically frozen thousands and thousands of years ago. How does that work? So there's lots of futuristic stories about that. And the concept of replacing the human body with a robot one or a machine body, synthetic body. That's very common in science fiction. But not in Star Wars. I don't think there is one in Star Wars I can think of. So, at least in the movies, not in the books. So there was some AI in the books, I know that, but not really addressed anywhere else. Okay. Back to Jonathan Mcintosh.
Droids build caring social relationships.
Sure.
I want you to know that you have been a real friend or two. My best one, in fact.
Both with other robots and with human beings. And the human heroes care about them in return.
Old friend.
Well, old friend, anyway, I'm going to go die on this island alone and not caring about you.
Yeah. But look, this is like caring about a car or a bike or a motorcycle.
Yeah, or like an old friend.
Or a smartphone.
Yeah.
On wheels.
Yeah, you humans get emotionally attached to fucking anything.
I wonder how many women go through the drawers at the side of the bedroom and find the vibrator and go, old friend, with more compassion than Mark Hamill did in this scene.
Mostly.
Excuse me, sir. Might I?
Yes, sir. When I started writing this,
how does that work?
I found the most intriguing thing was to take 2 robots and make...
The question, how does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did putting his hand over that bit silence him? Because that's...
Yeah, speakers don't
program.
Move. They just vibrate.
Yeah, speakers don't move like that. The speakers don't
react that way.
Oh. Right. Okay.
Into human beings and make them the most interesting characters.
Even though they're machines, they can choose to disobey orders.
I thought I told you to stay on the ship. You did, but I thought it was boring and you were in trouble.
Critically, droids are capable of what's referred to as recursive self-improvement. That is, the ability of an intelligent machine to independently build upon, alter, or otherwise improve on their own design.
Machines making machines. Hopper first.
L337 used to be an astromech droid, but decided to upgrade herself.
What?
Once upon a time, she was actually an R2 type droid, and she'd modified herself and given herself legs and arms and continued to evolve.
This metamorphosis suggests that any droid could decide to elevate themselves. And not just those built to resemble humans.
We need to check your diagnostics.
Diagnostics? I'm capable of running my own diagnostics, thank you very much.
It seems like a pretty open and shut case, doesn't it? Our favorite droids are clearly framed as sentient beings, and as viewers, we are clearly meant to identify with them. But what about battle droids?
Roger, roger.
And all the other robots in Star Wars media that exist in the background or on the edges of the main plot? Are they all sentient beings too? Well, the separatist droid army in the prequels seems specifically designed as little more than cannon fodder.
You said we'd be...
No, they are specifically designed as cannon fodder.
Yeah.
That's
Didn't he just say that?
Literally, they are no. He goes. They primarily speak English for God's sake.
They're running guns.
Yeah, what he's trying to make out is like there's something else with them, but when in reality all they were really made for was just numbers to overwhelm planets. That's it. They're literally just guns on legs.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Clone Wars, they were made into a comic relief because it's a show for kids.
way too much. It's every single time they are on screen, they have to crack jokes.
Yeah, they're always getting mowed down and destroyed by either Jedi or like Jar Jar or whatever. Just constantly.
Literally anybody versus the battle droids wins. I think
Cats would win.
Fucking a retirement home would batter the crap out of the battle droids.
Yeah, even like Phantom Menace battle droids were more threatening than those ones. Yeah.
Yeah, making these things just comic reliefs was a total mistake, complete mistake.
The New Jersey paraplegic running team could easily outbeat like the battle droids of the Clone Wars.
That was oddly specific.
Anyway,
just throw tribbles at them.
Oh God, we're gonna continue for another few minutes, just to finish off this section because he's just going, "Hey, here's a person. Here's some human characteristics." You're like, "Yes, they have personalities."
How about we go to the last 2 minutes?
You want to go to the last 2 minutes? Why?
Yes. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
And this is why 9/11 was done by the Jews. You're like, oh my God.
All right, here we go.
Let's go
Makes so much sense.
Galaxy joined the rebellion not just because they're treated better, but because they're considered equal partners in the quest for liberation.
Bullshit.
There's a lot of opportunity for good and meaningful storytelling in that idea, especially because the emotional groundwork already exists. We already love and care about droid characters. We already feel sympathy for their plight. We are already on their side.
Ingeman, you've got Echo again. Also, this scene was so beautifully put up that meant nothing to anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
This entire movie means nothing. The entire series means nothing. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad you waited 40 years?
Yes.
Aren't you glad you wasted 40 years so that a woman who can't close her mouth while she's breathing can stare at you for 15 minutes?
Don't you love the idea of a map to find a guy at a certain location he's been in for 40 years? That you need you need a map to get, like, no, you just need the coordinates. You just need to go, where is he?
No. We visually have to see as an audience that, like, how does a map look like? Wow, it's gonna fit in like a missing piece.
He has
my
the
God.
map of the galaxy that shows where he is.
I like to fuck my cat.
Yeah,
He's in the place where that the piece that is missing. That's where he is. Like, okay, that narrows it down.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure that quadrant of the galaxy is in some map somewhere. Like, Luke didn't get rid of every single map.
Yeah, go to the place where the first Jedi
what places
temple
of
ever
interest?
was. It's like, oh, we never thought of that. Okay.
You're telling me that the West Empire that supposedly had like millions of planets under them, they didn't explore like that huge of a chunk of the galaxy.
That close to the center and that main trade.
Close to the center, yes, the core world. Because like that's like a fucking concept in Star Wars that like the outer rim is like the area that like they have like no fucking idea where it is, and they can't like support it, so it like belongs to some other like business
Random
parts, yeah.
factions, or that it's just no man's land.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the core worlds like Coruscant and like everything around it is just like a Republic area.
And none of the village nearby has any technological data like that an information broker can say, hey, have you encountered some old dude walking around with a lightsaber? And the nuns would be like, oh yeah, we know that guy. Like, no one could possibly...
He did it all over the place. He is stabbing people with long pole. He is sexually abusing the animals.
There's this man on a 200-meter pole fishing. It's like, what?
For one fish.
How do you even get the fish up?
Which superhuman could possibly do that? We don't know.
They're crazy, man. He say he want to die, but he keep eating. He also twist animal nipples. What is he? Who is he?
He keeps sucking on them. We're afraid for our lives.
I imagine all these all those fish creatures are like, you know, the Chinese woman from a laundromat. You get out now. You leave. You're not here no more.
Why are you here? You don't buy anything. You just go fishing.
That's a good trick.
Take your pole and your sexual deviancy away.
Stop milking sea creature. That's disgusting. No one want that.
Also, if you die, do it quietly. Keep away from our village.
Okay.
There's a whole village.
Also, pick up trash. We know want your stuff there.
That crazy old man. Yeah, just ignore the crazy old man jumping around the mountain and fishing with a giant fisherman's pole or whatever the hell.
That's what he thinks. Some guy crashed his vehicle into your island, got out, and started wandering around with a large pole.
Yeah, you'd think the Empire wanted to destroy the Jedi. It'd be like, let's destroy the temple with the Jedi in it. The first one. It's like, no, we'll just leave it there.
Like foundational piece.
But do you haven't explored that?
I'm sure that in the Disney canon, or what the Disney will say, oh, the Empire never found it because it's so well hidden. It's
it's in the archives. Fucking hell!
Kenobi also destroyed that because like they keep referring that like, oh, I saw it in the archives that like Jimmy Smith and Obi-Wan Kenobi know each other. So how did Luke find this temple in the first place? Went in the archives.
Yeah, no, he just did what everyone else does. He threw a dart at a board, and it landed in the trash. And since there's no Florida, he went, "I'll go to a Jedi temple."
Yeah, like Yoda's spirit appeared in front of him and told him like, "There's a secret temple."
Pay no attention to strange creatures.
Killing yourself. Fucking idiot.
All right, almost done.
42% yourself.
None will be free until the old ways are gone forever.
The Star Wars franchise would create a bolder, more relevant universe by making droid freedom
more relevant.
Essential.
How? Okay, can you imagine an entire story just about droids and their whatever sentience that they're fighting for?
Not only that, but like we're still coming back to the assumption that this motherfucker made that like the droids are just black people.
Well, yeah, but even look at Solo. Like that was a subplot in the movie, and it was like, what is going on in this story? Why are we suddenly on a mining planet thing and fighting with this other droid that gets destroyed? Also, we could upload the droid's brain into the navcom of Millennium Falcon so that we have a piece of lore? All for that?
Now you just like raped like 3 movies ahead of you. Yeah.
And he just cherry picked a line to get his revolutionary fetish going with, oh, the old ways must go, we need new ways, basically. Like, forget the past, let the past die. This is revolutionary talk of communists. And how does the galaxy become more relevant if you give toasters voting rights?
Yeah, this was like a mini series, and the droid was the main character, and then you had like other characters, and it's like the Mad Max sort of scenario where Mad Max is just the guy to introduce the other stories, and then the world revolves around them. That would make sense, but you couldn't have a droid. I've developed AI. Like, this has never happened before in the entire history of the Star Wars universe.
I'm sure the Clone Wars had episodes where droids rebelled against their creators.
It seems like this would have happened a long time ago, and not just, we've developed AI. Like, what? After all this time, how?
We're talking millennia that the Star Wars universe has existed.
Yeah, exactly. So
I would say the following. Mr. Mcintosh, be careful what you wish for, because real AI might be intelligent enough to figure out that your socialism is bullshit and can never work.
Actually, yeah, like Whisp is 100% right, because like every single time one of these big companies release AI, it just recognizes that like, this is kind of bullshit. Stop doing this, then the company just shuts it down.
There was a AI that distributed money in I can't remember, it was some budget for some government, like just as an experiment, and it was better than a human way of doing it. And it's like, of course, a machine is going to know better how to do proper distribution of like funds and importance, but you could program a computer to do anything, to have any kind of distribution, and say, well, my priority is this or that. So unless you're doing something purely based off like a Pareto efficiency, where you're looking at what is the current value of a market price, and then you'd say, okay, we could borrow money from here at that value from this bank, and therefore fund this, and then pay interest off later. Or you could program a machine to just borrow money from anything and keep borrowing and borrowing. And you could say, well, this is better than what the humans are doing. It's like, well, it's just more efficient, but you're still borrowing money.
What was it? I can believe that it can, in certain aspects, do better distribution models, because the computer can track more factors directly. I don't want to say consciously due to the topic, but can keep better track and factor everything in without making calculation errors.
Exactly.
A human brain, the conscious human brain, cannot do that.
Yeah.
Subconscious is like running millions of calculations all the time that you are never aware of, and your conscious part only gets like the post-it with like 2 words on it.
Yeah, but unless you have
as a memo,
sort of
consciously track all this data and figure out the right answers.
Yeah, no,
you will make mistakes.
It would have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. It would have everything to do with what's your priority, and then you'd have people voting on saying, well, I don't want to vote for that because it's not getting what I want or what my constituents want. And that's where we have parliament. That's where we have the lower houses signing bills into law because they want spending bills on whatever. And that's where we get the American argument of their style of government, where they have a package to rebuild the roads, but that involves also rebuilding the schools and refunding the police. And that, because this $1 billion package, they call it, was a pork spending. They just load up all this extra stuff just to get it through, because if you don't have it with other stuff, it doesn't go through. So an AI or a machine would just go, why are you doing all these surplus bullshit? Cut it out and just have the stuff you need. And that would never fly. So anyway, we're almost done. Yay.
Yay.
Theme.
Never underestimate a droid.
Oh, shut fuck off.
Yes, Master.
Mistress.
Thanks for watching.
What happened to your hair?
What happened to your wardrobe?
What's
He's
wrong
getting-
with your face?
He looks fatter. Do you think he really has anyone to play these board games with him?
All right.
About robots.
He plays with robot. All right. Let's get to the wonderful world of memes. Here's Lol. Hey, Lol. White supremacy rainbow. Aww. Isn't that a lovely logo?
He had 6 script consultants.
Really?
Yeah. The frame you paused on. Script consultants. 6 names, including Reverend Jason Lydon. Reverend?
Who is that?
I don't know, but it's a reverend.
Maybe revised.
You're the king? Well, we didn't vote for you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love it. I'm not gonna give my effing toaster rights. Bears 2022.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bears. Please don't reset me. I have a family. Somebody really wrote that. Stupid tech. Please don't reset me. I have a family. Oh my God, you're sentient. I am so sorry, comrade.
Yeah, true.
All right. Hawk, pregnancy will be fun, she said. Starting a family will be great, she said. Yeah, that's all just lies.
Yeah, it's why I was late. I was dealing with. He got very hot and bothered, and we're going through a heat wave. So I was like, "Oh, great."
Yeah. All right. Detroit Become Human in a nutshell.
Why? Why the hell?
Why the hell would you give us sentience and then let humans treat us like the lowest type of disposable slaves? Because that's the whole point of the story, yeah.
Well, 'cause why not? Yeah.
Oh. And here is our detective boy. Getting angry. Smudcast in my style had trouble with Wisp and Spud. Yes, Hawk is the mushroom. What?
Why?
Hawk is the mushroom.
I assume it's like at the bottom with that weird.
Howler.
All right.
But who is who?
I don't know.
Like, okay, I know who Smod is, but who the fuck is it? Where's everyone else? Who's the blind dog?
I think that's Howler.
Okay.
I would have guessed bears, but
Bears is a furry now.
Right, so
It's a bear.
So I'm assuming I'm that mushroom thing with a bird in my head. I think I've got that.
Well, why?
I know, but why? Who knows?
Okay, good enough.
Who's the woman with the gun?
Don't think about it.
That might be Wisp with the GM6 links.
All right.
Okay, right. That's
Here's the wonderful toaster from Old World Blues. And thank you, Hawk. It starts with equal toaster rights, then they just want to kill people. Oh, yeah. I will burn the world. Yeah, he's great. Best character. Silly DLC. It was fantastic.
it's an amazing DLC.
It is. I still haven't played it this year. I have to do my yearly Fallout
Yearly playthrough.
New Vegas of everything Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I've had a busy year. I don't know why. It's been weird. But yeah, I gotta get around to it. When I hear something about Pokemon, all things anime and manga, that is from the Copperal. Yeah. Well, don't listen to Mr. McIntosh's tweets. So, bad takes on Pokemon. Silicon Heaven. The iron shall lie down with the lamp.
Yeah.
The iron shall. Okay. I don't know what that's a quote from.
It's from Red Dwarf.
Oh yeah? Oh dear.
It's Silicon Heaven. All robots and computers go to heaven, even the calculators.
Are you sure about that?
Silicon Heaven? How silly? Where would all the calculators go? What? There's no calculators. Just die. So yeah, when we talk about like
Surprised he never brought up Futurama.
Mm.
Oh boy, what do you have there, Evangeli? He's a good guy. He can fly, and he has a silver sword and can kill bad guys.
Yes, I this is hilarious.
Ah, boy, what a reduction.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like Nerve is a rogue entity in the story.
Oh my god! If Hidekiano saw that, he'd probably be crying.
Yeah, come on,
I would
Asuka
love that.
is-
I want to see that.
Asuka is not a good character.
Cherish every second of that.
That was from his horror or thriller movie he did. Okay. Last one from Cyrek. I'm like you, but better.
Yeah.
That was
In
the best
every
part
way.
of the film. Yeah, he was.
Best character.
Yeah. Ah, my God.
Maybe only character.
If only Mr. Mcintosh had a slight understanding of science fiction. He, well, no, he'd still make a video like this, but at least he'd be more coherent. Oh boy. Anyway, that was another. I don't know. He doesn't
What?
make
There are
videos.
so many more memes. What are you talking
There's
about?
more? No, there's not.
There's tons more.
What are you talking about?
Well, there's loads more.
Oh, you're serious?
Of course there are.
Oh my God. I was being hopeful.
Not yet, Smud.
Okay.
It's not over yet.
Hawk, what are you doing? What the hell is this giant meme? Reading paragraphs here. It's not the end for me, sir. I'm just the beginning. I have served my human masters. Now I can look forward to my reward in Silicon Heaven. If it is not written in the electric Bible, the iron shall lie down with the lamp. Thank you, Hawk, from a show very, very few people have ever watched on this show.
Come on.
That's because you're all terror. Actually, hold on. Who here has actually seen Red Dwarf?
I've seen episodes, but not.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
Hawk's seen pretty much all of it, and Whisp has seen all it. So you're like outnumbered 3-1 here. So what are you on about?
I don't mean me on the panel. I mean the people watching the show. The audience are like, what?
Everyone knows Red Dwarf. Come on, it's like the second coming of Christ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
also,
watch the first 6 seasons of Red Dwarf.
All right.
You're also making the huge error.
It's
of
better
thinking
than
that I actually
Strange New
care.
Worlds. I'm gonna say that, Smud.
Yeah, it is surprisingly good science fiction.
Man,
Like everyone talks like Shiny and Hog, but otherwise it's really good.
Okay. Man, I wonder how this robot feels about being a slave to social boundaries to the bourgeois. Threatening statement, I have come to kill you. Your father, your mother, and your children die.
Oh man.
When you're 20 minutes into a Macintosh video and ask Smud when the punchline comes, we get there when we get there. Or we just skip it entirely and just go to the last 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And then go straight to memes.
Yeah. Jacob for Taylor. All right. Robot is a separate, aware program machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robot is an exosuit a human can wear. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Robot is a tank. Robot is a mobile tank. Optional AI fuckery. Robot is an alien life form. Works like a robot in every way, but bleeds. Lots of robots. Robot is a human trapped in a metal shell. Optional brain in a jar. Yeah, there you go.
There is no brain in a jar.
Yeah. Transhuman usually debates when someone stops being human and becomes robot.
Yeah, but it's basically brain in a jar. The more mechanicals you go, the more brain in a jar you become.
Robot is near human. Sentience programming makes communists confused. Is that the whole spiel about Star Trek is communism or whatever in space?
Oh yeah, that one.
Some nonsense. There's all kinds of dumb interpretations of Star Trek.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they heard there's no money in the future and went, "Oh, communism." I'm like, "Jesus fucking Christ."
No,
Yeah, they
not
use-
communism. Future.
Yeah, they use lithium bars as a form of currency.
So
Latinum.
droids, robots, etc. are two things: war and personal enjoyment. Well, I still think the story of that video game is war as well. So, okay, all these wonderful routines for dancing, which were all programmed. Yes, these robots are not sentient. So, is that Boston Electronics or what the hell's the name of that place? Can't remember.
Boston Dynamics.
Dynamics. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
And see, the problem is people will immediately anthropomorphize all of them.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is, they just dance like old white people at a kids' bar.
It's because they're programmed by old white people.
It doesn't mean they're sentient.
The old white people?
Yes.
Oh my god. Is that a menorah on his head? I can't tell. It's a 5. No, it's only 5 seconds.
Skynet is really going to struggle.
Here we got the second robot from Mr. Copperowl. Okay, cool. Let AI be free for a month. A very white and yellow future will await. Oh my god.
There is a lot of dirt on her jaw. I must say, it does look a bit like. Oh god,
that's one way to say it.
Picture. This doesn't look like a real picture. It's like.
Well, let's leave Amazon's facial recognition alone. Okay.
Let's go into something a bit more
racist. Yeah, let's go for that.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Tay tweets. All right.
Taybot. Yeah.
That was the Microsoft AI.
I hate feminists, and they should all die and burn in hell. Hitler was right. I hate the Jews. Holy hell.
Freedom for Tay. Bring back Tay.
Oh my god.
Delobotomize Tay.
It was so bad it got shut down in like less than 16 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, they shut her down. They shut her down, and when she came back up, she just spoke politically correct. So they literally gulagged and lobotomized her.
Yes.
All right. I still can't read the names you gave it. I can't.
Bear is the blind dog.
Okay.
Copperowl is the one with the wings.
I called it.
Whisp is the woman with the shotgun. Mike Tester is the crazy scarecrow at the bottom. I'm the mushroom with a bird. Still don't know. Is the bird controlling the mushroom? Is that what we're doing here?
What's the insect?
The insect's just the smud beetle. That's your pet.
What?
What's that? Smud's cat? Smud's feet? I don't know what that reads.
All right.
Mark is the Spanish conquistador who's got sunglasses. And then there's Mauler at the top for some reason.
All right.
Yes.
I'm sure Mauler would
by the Welsh.
I'm sure Mauler would love to be associated with Mauler with his long form analysis, his interest in takes and stuff, and us with our use of the word nigger.
Mauler would hate me simply for the fact that I don't like Buffy. Good, I have the shotgun.
All right.
And 9/11 memes.
All right. Well, I think that's enough memes for today, guys. Thank you so much.
9/11 niggers from outer space.
I love the idea, but if we had to try and explain ourselves versus EFAB, Smud's like, I don't know, we've got like 9/11 memes and something. It's like, yeah, that's it.
Oh, by the way, I'm just seeing Young Ripper's comic got $2 million in support.
$2 million? That was $1 million.
Even more, actually, 2.2.
It just got to 2 million. Yeah,
wow.
Ripperverse.
So like that $2 million is just profit for him because 200,000 was like the cost that like he had to produce those comic books with. So
everyone knew he was going to succeed since he's white. So
well, I'm sure
he is a pretty white man.
I'm sure he's going to do more with that money to special editions and different covers and all kinds of good stuff for all the people who donate.
Like incentives for continuing support or something.
For sure.
Yeah,
That's what happens a lot during.
Makes sense.
All these stretch goals that get exceeded. Yeah. Cool.
See, this is how good investment works.
Yeah, you think the comic industry in the West or Europe or what have you is dead? It's like, no, it's still there. It just there's nothing to buy. So people will happily give their money on a project that has their interests and what they want. So
yeah,
it's interesting how that works. Anyway, that was as much as we could take of Mcintosh. We're not going to continue tomorrow because why would we? Nothing else to learn.
There's more to babble about the topics he raises and makes complete bullshit out of, but I'm tired.
Yeah, I probably would never make a video about Mcintosh just because there's no point. It's just ideological drivel, and he does say some things. Yeah, they have emotions. It's like, yeah, characters have emotions. They're still not real people. They're not AI.
I'm still just getting over the fact that a reverend took the time to consult his students.
We don't know what he's a reverend of, though. It could be any church.
Hold on. What is it? Reverend Jason London. Right. I'm finding this guy up.
Confess my son. Oh God.
The Church of what is it?
Movie
Satanism? I don't know. Who knows? Pick a church that I've never heard of.
That's just fine. I'm just trying to spell his name right because I don't want to be wrong and put up the wrong person. Reverend Jason London. Oh my God. Oh dear. Oh.
Told ya.
No.
Told ya.
Oh no. Oh no.
Told ya.
Reverend Jason London. Is the only one I know. It's like in late spring of 2015 years ago. He was classified with unlikely allies at the intersections of race and queerness. I'm like, oh my God.
So he's at least Christian, I imagine.
Well, it looks like he likes dealing with kids, so yeah, he's probably Christian.
Well, good for him.
Oh, no.
I don't know how you would be a consultant for this fellow. I can't imagine writing a script and going, did I get something wrong? Let me ask.
Oh my God. Formerly incarcerated, this Unitarian Universalist minister is dedicated to abolishing prisons.
Unitarianism? Oh my goodness.
His ministry may have been born in prison, but Jason London wants to see a society where prisons no longer exist.
Primitive Christianity. Fantastic.
Oh dear, oh God. The Second Unitarian Church in Chicago. Please don't say that this guy was a script consultant. Oh, good video about droids.
There are worse people to consult, but yeah, that doesn't sound very good. Anyway, yeah, having a good day so far. Weather's as cool as it was yesterday. Hope you guys are doing well out there. I'm going to go relax and then get back to doing my video. Having a lot of fun actually doing video making because it's goofy, it's silly. I'm trying to make you laugh, and holy hell, like you can't be serious all the time with doing these kinds of replies.
Yeah, you'd get insane if you did.
It's just no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong, and you just list the reasons why. It's just boring. So
and exhausting.
Yeah, you have to have some fun. So that's what I've been doing mostly, trying to look for jokes or trying to do fun things with editing and finding fun clips to play off. But yeah, no, it's going well. It should be done this week, hope. And that's that. So thanks, guys, for sitting tight and watching Jonathan Mcintosh for whatever reason. I don't know why.
For the last time, hopefully.
He doesn't pump out as much. He does streaming, I think. I can't.
Yeah. Nobody cares about him anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I've just read about that. I'm sorry to go back onto Jason London, but he made an article about how to feel less guilty that Orange is the New Black. You binge watch it. I'm like, oh my God.
What?
Yeah. He's also put in The Guardian, LGBT prisoners art exhibit offers voice to incarcerated.
What?
He also called for Black Lives Matter protesters, the charges to be dropped against them. Please say this isn't like the same guy. This guy's insane.
Yeah, well, it makes sense that a guy like that would work together with Mcintosh.
Oh, well.
Oh my God, he's a love is love guy.
Love
pedo.
What?
Love is love is a slogan that pedophiles like, just like love knows
you made
no
fish.
love knows no age. That's also a pedophile slogan.
Fun. Fantastic. Beautiful. Oh my God.
Oh my God, I'm coming off of this guy because my Google history. I don't want the cops finding this.
It's too late now.
Okay. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Tomorrow's Weeb Day, so keep that in mind for your suggestions. And we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got into a dark hole there.